Pécs Pod is a videocast conceptualized by third-year students from the University of Pécs, Kaylee from the United States and Andre from Brazil. We are both majoring in communication and media science.
Our main goal is to discuss interesting facts about Hungary, Pécs, University of Pécs, and its community. So, if you are interested to know more about it, stay tuned.
This is filmed in a studio provided by UnivTV. Let's get started. He was invited to serve as the head of Department of Communication and Media Studies at a smaller university in northern Hungary.
Program as well. So this was 1992, and the department I think was called Communication Department, like that. They kept it very simple.
As a gamer yourself, I know you're a gamer.
Gamer, yeah.
How come you decided to become a professor and ended up in this academic path?
We have with us here today Professor Tamás Pólya. He is an associate professor at the Department of Communication and Media Studies here at the university. He graduated in Italian linguistics in '99, and he had his doctorate on communication studies in 2007, both here from Pécs. He's been teaching at the university level since 2001, and he started out as a linguist interested in issues of interpersonal communication and of linguistic pragmatics, but became involved in founding what later became the Department of Film Studies at the University of Pécs. After that, he was invited to serve as the head of Department of Communication and Media Studies at a smaller university in northern Hungary, in Eger, for 8 years, and he then returned to Pécs to help establish the English language bachelor's program in the Communication and Media Studies, of which he is the coordinating head today. As for his research interests during these 25 years, he was mostly concerned with linguistic and philosophical concepts of meaning, the stylistics of films, and currently mostly the aesthetics of video games. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you're here to represent the Department of Communication and Media Science. And first of all, I would like to know when the Department of Communication was founded, what was its original name, and stuff like this, please.
Yeah, well, it all started, thank you again for having me. It all started 30 years ago, okay, in 1992. There was a Hungarian linguistics program at the university, and basically some of the professors established a so-called specialization in communication studies, and that was split off from the linguistics department and became a fully fledged department, okay? The founder was a famous professor here, okay? But there were several other people already here, like Professor Péter Niedermüller and also Professor Zsolnay Quarter, okay, and József Havasréti as well. Some of them are teaching you, okay, and teaching in the Hungarian program as well. So this was 1992, and the department I think was called Communication Department, like that. They kept it very simple, and the idea was to create something in Hungary which covers communication and media in general, because as you know, those were almost revolutionary years in Hungary in political and historical terms. So there was a heightened need for a new generation of journalists, both print and electronic journalists. So for television and radio as well. So basically, guys who were not raised in socialist schools, so to speak, okay, and not were rather well versed in more modern concepts of journalism, okay. But that was the original idea, and it expanded during these years. And it came to include all sorts of other kind of approaches, like relay copywriting and spokesperson, nowadays podcast making and so on. So it was more or less constantly updated. But the start was, I would say, it started from this journalism thing. And it also included a very hefty amount of cultural anthropology and social science in general. So there was this idea. Oh, okay, sorry. If you
Yeah.
wanna.
I was just gonna ask about the location. It has always been located in Zolnay.
No.
As you can see here, we have a picture.
Yeah. Nowadays we are located in the Zsolnay Quarter. Okay, that's one of the I think one of the most beautiful places in Pécs. Okay,
It is.
yeah. But you have to know it was transformed from a factory for the 2010 event of European Culture, European Capital of Culture. Okay, so before it looked a bit more. Well, it was less nice to the eye, let's put it this way, okay? So it was more like a factory setting. So nowadays it's brilliant, full of sunshine and greenery. We really love it. I think as our students love it as well. And there was this event in 2010, and after the event there were different projects, what to do with this whole quarter. And one of the ideas was to transfer some parts of the university, some departments. And basically the Faculty of Arts has been relocated here, and also some social science departments like sociology and communication and media studies. Okay, so this is how we came to come here, to be located here. Well, there was some very nice features to this movement, in the sense that the department has been asked how they want to have the rooms, how many rooms they want to have, what sort of blueprint they want to have for the whole building. So basically everything was shaped and molded according to the departmental needs. And I think this is one of the reasons why many of my colleagues really love to be there, because they feel it's almost like their home. Okay, I wasn't here right in these years. Okay, I was working somewhere else, but I can see on the faces. Okay, when they talk about the Zsolnay Quarter, oh, it's like my home, my second home.
Yeah, it's really good. And I ask this because there is this confusion between the students, because although the course belongs to the humanities faculty, it's not at the main campus.
Yeah.
So you have to go, if you are future students, you want to study here with us, you're going to have to walk a little bit from the city center to reach this beautiful place here.
Yeah, but once you make the stroll, you don't want to go back.
Yeah, it's amazing. I
trick.
really like to walk there, and it's as pretty as it looks here, or even prettier actually in person. And more specifically about the founder, I found this very interesting, because during one of our classes with Rita, she mentioned that the founder, he has this back experience in engineering. And I thought, oh my God, this is so cool that someone with not the communication background established and was the founder of the department of communication. So how is that? Did you meet him in person? How is the connection between you?
Yeah, I already mentioned his name. He was Professor Eugé Porányi. He was an electrical engineer by education. And you have to know, I think, two things. First is that historically speaking, the study of communication was much related to engineering. Okay, so some of the communication, some of the main theories of transactional communication came basically from the field of engineering, because there were some telephone engineering guys who were thinking about how to lay wires, how to maximize the capacity of communication, and so on and so on. So they really started to make really mathematical formulas about communication. Of course, that would be too dry for us. I think most of you would sort of flee if we started dwelling on those theories too much. We mention it actually in passing in some of the basic courses. So that's one part. So it's not really as distant as it seems, at the first glance. Secondly, you have to see the specific historical situation of Hungary. During the so-called socialist years, which basically was a 40-year period after the Second World War, mostly some kind of dictatorship. During those years, there was a limit and even actually a very acute hindrance, very acute obstacles in front of those guys, those families who had aristocratic background. Okay, if you had any sort of like teachers or any kind of guy who might be interested to go against the system, I mean the communist system, basically you were prohibited to enter, in that case you were prohibited to enter universities, I mean the faculty, at majors of the Faculty of Humanities. So you couldn't study for teaching or psychology and stuff like that. You were redirected like for medical school maybe, and especially engineering school, because the communists, you know, they thought that if there are very few people like the older regime among the humanities students, then there will be very few people who could teach, you know, the new generations about what was happened before, that there are other systems than the communist one and so on. So basically, Professor Horanyi came from such a background, so he couldn't even choose like humanities, I think. But also, he's a very mathematically minded guy. Okay, so I think he enjoyed engineering a lot. Okay. But saying that is again somewhat deceiving in the sense that he was also very much, and he's, I think, but he's very old now and he's very sick, unfortunately, nowadays. But he was very much into philosophy of language, philosophy of mind, but especially philosophy of language. So he was teaching with the rigor of a mathematician, but with the flexibility of a philosopher, I would say. So he was an excellent, very skilled and very nice person, actually. I had him as a personal tutor as well. I came to this university in 1993, and well, there was a linguist guy, Professor Tercs, okay, István Tercs, who told me, okay, Tamás, maybe you should go and talk to this guy. He's called Horanyi, okay, he's the head of Department of Communication, and so on and so on. He might be interested in some of the issues which you are interested in, because I was curious. I was curious, you know, about meaning. And I was like nagging my teachers, hey, I want to study about meaning. What is meaning? What is the concept of meaning? How could you converse and establish this kind of meaning between two people? Is there understanding between each other, or is there more misunderstanding, and so on? And Professor Tercs, who was more like a traditional linguist, said, oh, Jesus Christ, okay, just go and study with Eugèbe, okay, because he's more into these philosophical questions. Yeah, so he tutored me, both in those years, and then later he was my consultant, my tutor, when I was making my doctorate.
So what is your personal connection to this department and like your background here at the university? Yeah,
again, that's a checkered history, okay, what we have here, because as I said, I started off as a student of Hungarian language and literature, plus as a student of Italian linguistics and literature. Okay, in those years, we were living before the Bologna system. Okay, so we had like 5-year studies at university, basically amounting to a BA plus MA together. Okay. So I was enrolled in those two subjects, okay, Hungarian and Italian linguistics and literature. Well, I stopped the Hungarian part at a point because I was too much involved in my, I would say, linguistics and in general communication studies. But I finished as a student of Italianistics, okay. But well, I think that's what you can get from looking at my CV. Okay, basically, as I said, I was raised among these guys. One of them was Professor Horanyi, okay, a philosopher, engineer plus tutor or whatever. So he had a very broad horizon. I think that helped me a lot. Okay, he always had these kinds of associations. Whatever I asked or whatever he asked, there was always some. Not one, but at least 2 or 3 other steps to take, okay? So there was him, then there was the head of Department of Linguistics, who was a great friend of Professor Horányi. He was called, he passed away, God bless his soul, Professor György Szépe, one of the most towering figures here, and he spoke about 6 languages like fluently.
Wow.
Yeah, he was one of the most intelligent guys I ever met in my life, and one of the best teachers. Really, he had a big heart. He was also very rigorous, but more generous than rigorous. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he always helped not just me. I think a whole generation of students. And he set the example. Like it was typical, you know, when you entered his office, that he was dictating a letter to his secretary in English, then answering the phone in French, and then giving you something in German. Like, here's a nice paper in German, you should read this. Wow. So he was a very old-fashioned guy in many ways, always having a necktie and everything. So I always sort of imagined him going to, you know, even to the bathroom, like fully smartly dressed or something. One of them, really, I loved him very much, like many of my generation, I think. So he was there, and also, as I started studying philosophy of language a lot, I think, and different branches of linguistics, especially those which were concerned with semantics, so meaning, basically, I came across a philosopher guy, Professor László Tarnai. Okay, so he was again a very important figure in my intellectual life. He gave me a lot in terms of opening up several new issues which were related to meaning, either in philosophy of mind or in cognitive psychology and so on. And he also taught me to think everything like in very abstract terms as well, even though always looking at the empirical facts. He and Professor Horányi, they were also very holistically minded. Okay, they always approached every issue in a very holistic way. So even if we studied some very small piece of empirical material, we always had this kind of very broad look. Okay, how does this fit the big picture? What is the big picture? Are there any more big pictures maybe, or only one, and so on? So they really taught me how to navigate in a full landscape of academia, I would say. And there was also another guy. If I'm sort of recounting my intellectual fathers here, I'm deeply grateful to them, actually. So there was also Professor József Andor at the English department. He was the guy who was into issues of meaning in similar way than I am. We wrote some papers together. He was very much a guy into cognitive linguistics, which doesn't really want to approach the issues of language in kind of in this kind of mathematical or rigorous way, but rather looking at all the different empirical facts and nuances and so on, and especially metaphors, okay, which we live by, as one of the famous book titles says. So we use metaphors, especially, of course, in our native language, but also in any language which we use. And well, there was also Professor László Komlósi, also at the Department of English. He also had me a lot, especially when it came to studying abroad. Okay, he offered some opportunities to me, which I'm very grateful.
And as a gamer yourself, I know you're a gamer.
Gamer, yeah.
How come you decided to become a professor, and ended up in this academic path? Like, how come for a gamer to end up being? Like,
well, I mean, I think nowadays everybody is using social media, and many of the guys are using games. So there are lots of gamers, and I mean, lots of them will end up as CEOs and professors and so on. So I don't think it's so exceptional, actually. Okay. As for the gamer part, I had the good fortune to have. I was coming from a relatively humble background. Okay, we were not really poor, but weren't rich either. Okay, but we were living in a condominium where we had like creme de la creme, okay, of our city, okay. Really, like there was the son of the CEO of the biggest factory of the city and so on. I come from Győr, okay. There was a dentist guy. There was one of the most successful guy in terms of commerce. So these were our neighbors, okay. So, well, they were very well off, and one of them had this knack for computer games, and he became, I mean, the kids. He was 4 years my senior, but we gamed a lot because he had some relatives living in Holland, so we had access to all sorts of gaming consoles and so on. So it all started when I was like 8 or 9 or something. So yeah, so that pretty much defined my interests. But that's for leisure and as a hobby. So as for linguistics and all this communication stuff, well, I think I was always very curious about really whether people understand each other or not. Partly because we had, I think my parents had a lot of argument, okay, so that's also very personal. Partly because as you grow up, you realize that whatever you say may be taken in a myriad of ways by others, and you sort of are amazed by this and also surprised, sometimes really depresses people, like, hey, I was saying something nice to you and you took it as an offense, so how can it happen? Well, actually it happens all the time. So I think this kind of curiosity and this series of experiences led me to these philosophical questions about meaning, and also I always had a kind of sensitivity towards languages, to learn languages. I enjoyed learning languages. We had to, I mean, I was raised up in a family where it was expected that everybody knows German as a language of education. Okay, so that's how it started. We had Russian in school, of course. Then I came to Pécs to study Italian in high school. There were these so-called bilingual high schools, and I studied Italian there, so I really fell in love with it. It's one of my deepest loves, actually. And well, you know what? When I came to university, I had to realize that German is nice. Okay, Russian was basically useless, but I loved it anyhow because it sounds just beautiful. But German is nice. Italian is okay. Bellissimo. Okay, so it's, yeah, absolutely. But everybody else is speaking English. Okay, so I really had to English by myself at that point. So yeah, that was a big challenge, and I feel that I sort of missed out on English, and I should have studied it like when I was in high school. But anyway, we started studying all sorts of languages, you know, with Professor Terch. Okay, he was into Swedish, Yiddish, and other languages as well. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So well, you know, when you have teachers like that, you start sort of bathing in all sorts of, you know, intellectual experiences, and if you have this curiosity about language in general, then well, I mean, it's the most natural thing to become a linguist, actually. I mean, so well, this is how it transpired. Yeah.
How do you think you came to be like the head of this department? Like, what path brought you back to Pécs into this?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm only the coordinating head right now. Okay, so that's very important to stress. So we have a fully fledged head of department here. So I'm just coordinating, but well, I sort of like this position where I have some sort of autonomy, okay, to decide about some things, but I don't have the burden to lead the whole department, okay. I mean, you can edit out this part, of course, so that our current head of department doesn't listen to it, okay. If he does, he will sort of, you know, cry a little bit. But anyhow, well, yeah, you know, I was very bookish, I think, by the first moment on. Okay, I've read a lot, so I was always like an eminent student, so always like a high flyer. I mean, in elementary school, in high school, and I think it was the same for the university. So when I was admitted, I was the only one who did not make any mistakes on the admission exam. Okay, so the head of Italianistics, okay, he came to me. Okay, Tamás, you were the only one who did not make any errors, okay, any mistakes in this exam. So basically, you are admitted. So that was before the oral part of the exam. Okay. So I was this kind of, yeah, as I said, bookish guy, very, very intellectually minded, also with lots of inhibitions, I guess. So well, books don't talk to you in the same way as people do. They're nicer to you, basically. And yes, I started on this academic path because of these sort of, I don't know, skills and proclivities. Okay, and it was quite natural for me to study for a doctorate after the university. And once you start that, you start writing papers, you get into a department, and then, well, some people at some point, it was in 2008, thought that, hey, it would be nice to invite me back to this northern university, where I could sort of try out how do I manage as a head of department. Mm-hmm. It was a very inspiring time in many ways, but also it became one of the most difficult parts of my life because in a couple of years, lots of things changed in Hungary. Okay, let's say the education policy changed a lot. So when I went back to this northern university, it's called Eszterházy Károly University. In 2008, we set out to build up like a totally like a high-level department which is interested in all sorts of communication issues. But lots of things were reversed in like 4 years' time when a new management came in, and basically they asked everybody to concentrate on the pedagogical part, which is nice. But if you think about it, we only have like a I would say a small part of our program here at the university. Well, of course, you don't know all the details, but at the Hungarian part, we have like one segment for pedagogy and several others for other things. Mm-hmm. So pedagogy isn't at the center of communication studies for sure. Mm-hmm. So basically, I felt that I had to change sort of horses, okay, and I felt, okay, this is really like off-putting. And it was. So anyway, I tried to do my best. I don't think I would say I'm glad that I could finish it like in 8 years, and that this new opportunity offered itself here at Pécs. Okay, because here, you know, during the 90s and basically after the change of the millennium, so in the early 2000s, there were lots of students, like more than 100 each year in the Hungarian programs. Not only in communication, but especially in communication. So it was one of the most successful majors, both in Pécs and basically everywhere in the country. Okay. But that started to change around 2005, 2010, okay? And there were, as I said, policy changes, so that lots of students basically became excluded from studying for communication. They didn't have any statal support anymore. Mm-hmm. That led a cut of 2/3 of the amount of students, okay? So like from 2,500 students in 1 year as freshmen, you got like 800 in the next year because of this lack of statal support. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was a big challenge, and this led to thinking about how people, I mean, how professors and how departments could improve themselves financially, okay? So there was this urge that, hey, maybe we should look at English language programs, So this is the whole thing started at many departments.
And when do you started to accept international students at the University of Pécs for the communication department?
I came back in 2018, and we had to prepare the ground for it. So we had a 1-year preparatory phase. We planned the different courses, the whole curriculum, and so on. So it took a year to start it. So basically, it was in 2019 that the first students came. Well, like yourself.
Thank God they started.
That was 2020, wasn't it? That was 2020.
2020. Then maybe Well, basically, maybe we had to wait 1 year, and there was the official license to start the whole program came in 2019. We announced it. I mean, like officially, and you were right. Basically, it only started in 2020. Okay, sorry. Okay, it's a good thing that you are here. You see, I'm old enough to speak all sorts of stupid things.
And we are coming to the end, and I would like to know what are your expectations towards these international students and those who are studying communication?
Well,
what kind of things that we can expect in the future? What kind of subjects they are studying right now that are interesting to mention?
Well, thank you. Actually, I expect students as brave to be as brave as you are. Okay, so we have like very intriguing guys, like some Americans, some Brazilians. No, really, I mean, you really bring a lot of intellectual assets to this university, I think, because maybe you cannot experience it in the same way as I do, but I have seen, I've been teaching for more than 25 years, basically, because I started as an instructor when I was a student, okay. So I have seen lots of different students in the Hungarian programs, and they were absolutely lively and ambitious, in the 90s. But it all sort of became more habitual to have like a diploma in communication, and so it wasn't that interesting after this kind of political change in Hungary. So I don't say they are not ambitious, but they are certainly less ambitious, or seem to be less ambitious than you, I mean the international students. And we were very positively surprised and very glad to see that when all sorts of international students come here, they come from very different countries, some democracies, some less developed in political terms, and all of them wanna in some way change the world. Either their own local world, like I want to go back to Pakistan and change everything there, like how people think about journalism and women and so on. So this is a very noble cause, okay, and no Hungarian would take up such a cause because, well, it's not our immediate issue, okay, but we are very, very happy to see you coming here and saying all these, mentioning all these issues. You yourself mentioned different things about Brazil and so on. There are always political rhetorical challenges in many countries. Well, we had Donald Trump, we had Bolsonaro, and these are big challenges for a student of communication and for a practitioner of communication. So coming to what we want to do, we, I think, offer a theoretical basis, but also would like you to be, all international students be versed in practical matters as well. It's not easy to squeeze everything into a 3-year program because there are also some formal and academic expectations on the part of the country, Hungary. You cannot just offer any kind of communication and media studies program. You have to follow some guidelines and some limitations. But we mostly teach theoretical and philosophical stuff in the first 2 years, and then the last year is mostly about practical matters. Now we plan to include a podcast making seminar. We have like investigative journalism. We have also like journalism in practice. So basically you do or can do, if you take up the job, you can do, radio and some television, as in here. Yeah, copywriting as well. Well, all these things I think are very useful because you may not end up as a copywriter, for example, you may not end up as a journalist, but if you study both the practical parts and the theoretical ones, and we really would like you to have like these broad horizons, which sort of we as students enjoyed ourselves, then you will be able to cope with different expectations in different jobs. Well, social science is about understanding society, okay, and we are more on, I think, on the on that side of it, where we also want to teach you like very practical things, but also this kind of interpretation capability, that you should approach society and very different societies like with a toolkit, so that you can find your way, you can see what are the dynamics in society, how it changed in recent years, what are the possible outcomes, both in political or economic or any sense, and then adjust your communication work accordingly. Even if you're a spokesperson or just a journalist or maybe an analyst somewhere, because well, communication is something you cannot do without. Okay, so both at the personal level and also at the mass media level, and nowadays we have something in middle that's called social media, of course.
Mm-hmm. And do we know how many nationalities are currently represented in this program?
Jesus, I think at least 20 or something. Around 20, yeah, 15 or 20 at least, yeah. So we have lots of guys from, some guys from Japan, Vietnam, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Turkey, Brazil, the United States, Jesus Christ, I don't know, lots of them actually, smaller countries as well. Yeah, and everybody, Pakistan as well, Paraguay as well. So yeah, all these guys bring their languages as well. It's so nice to hear the accents. Mm-hmm. Like a Pakistani guy will always speak different, yeah, and that's very. It's like a signature, yeah, and I like it. I mean, it's very nice to have all these different kind of people. Well, both emotionally, because you see, for example, if you have Chinese students. They don't really speak up in classes, okay? But they tend to come to you after class, okay? And say things like, hey, I have a comment. Mm-hmm. And well, there are different cultural expectations, there are different political and societal situations, of course. But it's a very, very pleasurable mixture, I would say.
And on behalf of all the students, the international students, I would like you to, for this interview, this chat that we had here, it was really insightful and really interesting to get to know the history of our department. And yeah, thank you for investing in us and our idea to have this videocast here today. And yeah, any final words?
Thank you as well. I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again.
Just
the same.
Yeah, but if I may have some final words, but you are very modest, guys, actually, because you will end up like important people in life, okay? And no, for sure, and basically, you will come back to me like in 20 years' time or 30 years' time. You will just, have your secretary call me, like, hey, call that professor, that old guy, that Mr. Pólya, okay? And tell him that I will travel, among my many things. I will also visit Hungary, and I may send a postcard or something. No, really, guys, I think you are so super ambitious and super skilled that I expect a lot of good things to come out of this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's it, guys.